Oh, you're so traumatized, it makes me want to cry. You dumb bitch.
The case I went over in this video was the case of the Powell family. This case got brought up because a woman named Susan Powell, who was married to a man named Joshua Powell, had gone missing one day. And of course, Josh was the prime suspect. And you see, Josh had a dark upbringing. He displayed several signs that you would typically see from a serial killer from a young age. This included killing small animals, including his sister's pet hamsters and gerbils, threatening his mom with a butcher knife, and attempting to unalive himself on at least one occasion. But past this, fast forward a little bit, and Josh would meet his soon-to-be wife, Susan Cox, at his Institute of Religion. The two would get married and have two beautiful kids named Charles and Braden. But something in Josh's brain switched. Susan kept a journal, and in this journal she noted how controlling Joshua was becoming. She also put in a very haunting entry of this journal that if she died, even if it looked like an accident, it wasn't. Fast forward again, and Susan would go missing, and Josh would be the prime suspect. Due to their father being the prime suspect in a very touchy missing persons case, Charles and Braden would be taken into custody. But one day Joshua had a scheduled monitored visit with his kids. A social worker named Elizabeth Griffin would come with the two kids, and Josh would push her back, take both the kids inside of his house, and lock the door. Now, after a long wait and a 911 call made by Elizabeth, the house would explode with Joshua, Charles, and Braden inside. The police considered the case a double murder. And look, I know it's an extremely dark case, but that's why I made this video.
Why would you lie? And then I realized you're just as naive as I am.
These are the creepiest things new homeowners have found after they moved into the house. After heading up into the attic to check for moisture, this was the first thing this family spotted. A lone rocking chair sitting right above their bedroom. Why this was the only thing stored up in the attic, we do not know. To stay on theme with attics, other homeowners went up into their attic and found this Polaroid, a completely black photograph with the written text saying, "Do you see him?" In another home, something that was missed during the inspection was this particular stain on the wood floor. Come to find out, this stain was from the previous homeowner, as this was the location where they were found. And then there is this, found by a contractor who purchased a home to renovate it but failed to catch this in the basement bathroom. Although clearly a prank, it is still unnerving to imagine walking into your new home and finding this.
This is going to be your reaction through this creepy story. Last Halloween, Lily had just broken up with her boyfriend and decided to spend Halloween night at home with her parents. She still lives at home and just wasn't in the mood to go out and party. The three watched some scary movies and passed out candy to trick-or-treaters throughout the night. Around 10, Lily's parents were going to bed and told her they had placed the bowl of remaining candy on the front porch in case anyone else came by, and Lily was going to stay up and watch some more TV before heading to bed. Hours later, around midnight, came a knock at the door. "It's a little late for this, isn't it?" Lily said to herself as she stood up to look through the front window. On the porch was a man in a clown costume. The person looked to be an adult and was alone. Lily sat back down, figuring whoever he was would eventually leave. Another few moments passed, and then another knock. And then a voice emerged from behind the door. "There's no more candy," the voice said. It appeared the man was using a child's voice. The whole thing was creepy, and Lily once again thought that he would just leave. A few minutes passed, and it appeared that the man left. All was quiet, and Lily went back to watching TV, when suddenly, from the back door this time, another knock. And again, Lily heard that man's voice saying, "There's no more candy." Lily looked through the kitchen to see that same man in that clown costume at her back door trying to look inside. Lily ran in to wake her parents to tell them, but when her dad ran out to open the door, no one was there. Lily's parents agreed that this was very strange, but locked up for the night and everyone went to bed. A couple hours later at 2:30 a.m., Lily was awoken to a voice coming from her front yard. Her bedroom faced the street. She slowly stood up, walked over to the window where she saw that same man in the clown suit standing in her front yard. He was repeatedly yelling, "Make sure you have enough candy next year." Lily was petrified, ran back into her parents' room where they called police. But by the time they got there, he was gone. But they knew that he was there because they found this on their front lawn. Now, with Halloween only a couple days away, Lily is terrified that this man will return. So I guess the moral of this story would be, make sure you have enough candy, and make sure you have police on speed dial. Yikes. Do you have any creepy stories from Halloween?
Never play these scary games, Part 9. The game is called Dry Bones, and it's a very dangerous paranormal game that I don't recommend anybody playing. To play the game, you have to be alone, have a bathroom and mirror, a box of matches, and a candle. To start the game, you have to close all doors and windows in your house. and turn off all the lights. Now begin the game at 12:01, not a minute sooner or later. Then go into your bathroom and look into the mirror, and think of something that you want. This will then be your prize. Next up, light a match and do not blow it out. Wait for it to burn down by itself. Then lie down on the floor and repeat these words. I am aware of your presence, and I welcome you into my home. Come now. Now go hide. The demon will then have till 3 a.m. to find you, and if he doesn't find you by then, you will get whatever you thought of in the beginning. But if he does, he will kill you.
Disturbing rituals caught on camera. In this 2013 footage, Pope Francis approaches as usual to the sick people who have attended the Mass to bless them. Suddenly, a priest introduces him to a boy, asserting that he needs an urgent exorcism. The Pope's face turns serious, extends his hands upon him and prays intensely, as the boy seems to be immediately affected by the Pope's prayer.
Hey, look, a pizza! You gotta let him into your house now.
Exactly how old would you guess this woman is? For those who are unfamiliar, the Death House landlady went down in Sacramento's history as one of the most unusual serial killers the county had ever seen. Her name was Dorothea Puente. She was a woman with a traumatic childhood who exhibited tendencies of a pathological liar. Around the 70s, she reinvents herself as this sort of older Christian woman who would run a boarding house where she takes care of the elderly. But Dorothea was only in her 50s and was intentionally making herself look older to upkeep this image as the harmless caregiver. But when police came knocking to investigate a tenant who had gone missing, they noticed that her garden had all fresh soil. Upon inspecting a little further, they uncovered the remains of 8 rotting bodies. These were tenants that Dorothea had given sleeping pills to and buried, and then still collected their government benefits, making her one of the most sly killers in Sacramento's history.
Scary things experienced by night shift workers. Anonymous said that he used to work as a graveyard custodian in a building by himself. Now, when he started, he was told that the building was very weird and that he should stay on his toes. He called bull, but after working there a year, he was pretty convinced that something weird was going on. He was riding the elevator to a different floor, but instead of going to that floor, it went straight to the basement. The doors open, and all of a sudden, a dark figure starts walking towards the elevator, and he freaks out. He hit the doors to close, and the figure just kept getting closer. He ended up standing outside of the building for a half an hour or so while the police searched the basement. What really freaked him out was that the one entrance into the basement was locked and barred, and they didn't find anyone down there after searching everywhere.
Legend or lie number 58, the Rugaroo. The swamplands of Louisiana are littered with creatures best left alone, but if you hear a howl in the distance, flee immediately and do not turn back. It's probably the Rugaroo. Similar to a werewolf, the Rugaroo has the head of a wolf and the body of a human. It feasts for 101 days before passing the curse on to a new host, and the cycle continues all over again. The Rugaroo particularly loves eating kids, especially of the naughty variety. So if you're a naughty child, especially one living in Louisiana, you better change your ways. The Rugaroo might be watching.
This is the deadliest prison in the world. This is Carandiru Penitentiary, and it was shut down in 2002 for being one of the worst prisons to ever exist. Now, how is this the worst prison on earth? Well, with various health hazards, riots, and murders throughout the prison. Instead of it being more like a paradise where you live for free type of prison, it was more like hell on earth. You see, alongside inmates contracting diseases like AIDS and HIV every single day because of the unsanitary living space, they also overpowered the guards, with there being only 1,000 guards and over 7,000 inmates, so they made their own rules. You see, in 1992, this tension between prisoners and guards finally came to an end when Brazilian military police were sent to the prison and murdered over 111 prisoners and executed the ones who even surrendered already. Now, if you were one of those people that thought you may survive in prison, you may want to rethink that thought.
Disturbing things caught at Disney parks. In this video, Mike Wazowski, from Monsters Inc., comes out on stage to talk to the audience during one of Disney's Christmas shows. As he's talking to the audience, he swings his arms around energetically. Then, one of his arms breaks in half. Disturbing things caught by drones. In this 2020 drone footage, two YouTubers are shown taking a drone into the woods from the safety of their car. Despite the initial calm, a weird creature moving in the trees catches the attention of the two guys. They try to approach the mysterious creature, but the thick tree line initially blocks them to go far off the trail. After a while, they are eventually able to get a better view, revealing a scary humanoid creature down on all fours.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all these on Reddit. Number 1 is the tragic story of Joyce Vincent. Joyce Vincent was a normal person like anybody else who lived in an apartment by herself until she tragically passed away in 2003. Joyce's body would remain in her apartment for 3 years, and the only reason the police found her was because a cop was in the building and noticed a foul stench coming out of her room. Number 2. Tumors. It's the last thing you want to hear in a doctor's office, and in general, it's just bad. But this is gonna make it worse. It's been documented for a lot of people that have had tumors removed, that they have had teeth, hair, and even eyes. And finally, body balloons. If your body is left uncured or untouched for a long enough period of time after you have passed away, the gases within your stomach will begin to swell. And one day, eventually, they will pop. Kinda makes you wonder what happened to Joyce in her apartment. Okay, I'm done, because these ones were grossing me out, but I guess that's why.
I would never stick around in a school library at night, and this is the exact reason. This picture was captured by Jalen Nell. She was in her school library, and this is the entrance point, and she's in there at like 2 something in the morning, and she thought she was completely alone. Until she realized that there was another woman in this library, and she was being watched. She ends up deciding to leave because she feels uncomfortable, but before she does, she takes this photo of the entrance to send to her friend and tell her about this creepy woman. But I want to look at this photo a little closer. In the frame, she had unknowingly captured the woman who is staring directly at the camera. This visual is chilling. Jalen would actually end up reporting this incident to Student Affairs, who then checked the camera footage at the entrance of the library. What really unnerved them is that when they looked at the footage, they never saw this person leave the library. And if you guys are loving Creep Time, make sure to go follow on Insta.
There is something very off with this story. A few years back, a woman told of a chilling and unexplainable experience she had driving cross-country with her mom and her sister. The women found themselves on an interstate late one night. They needed gas and a bathroom break, so they stopped at the next gas station they were going to pass. It was the only station in 200 miles. The family pulled in, and in the parking lot saw a van full of teenagers as well as 2 men standing next to their small gray car. But as soon as they got there, everything about this place felt wrong. They overheard the van full of teenagers say that they were creeped out there and the gas pump wasn't even working, so they left in a hurry. And those 2 men by the gray car had not moved at all, just stood there, not talking, not on their phones, just standing there. Her mom and sister ran in to use the restroom and she stayed in the car. A few moments later, the 2 came sprinting back out. And as they did, those 2 men slowly turned to look at them while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies. And that's when she saw their eyes, black, dark, and empty. The women floored it out of that station and didn't stop until they hit the next city. After this chilling encounter, the women looked and looked, but couldn't find that gas station anywhere on a map. In the next city, they asked around and told some of the locals about that creepy gas station on the interstate and gave them the exact location of where it was, and only got confused looks. Those women have traveled down that interstate since and found there is no rest out there. I'm sorry, what was that? What about you? Have you ever seen or experienced anything truly unexplainable on a road trip?
To anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who is faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial Killers from Every U.S. State, Part 18. Louisiana. Clementine Barnabet. The story of Clementine Barnabet is one of voodoo and the occult. Barnabet killed entire families as they slept in what became known as, quote, the voodoo murders in the 1910s. 19-year-old Barnabet confessed to killing 17 people with an axe on behalf of the Church of Sacrifice. On her behalf, the other followers of the cult killed upwards of 40 people. Although she confessed, she was not put to death because she was so young. Instead, she was sentenced to life in prison.
Disturbing moments caught on live TV. This 1969 CBS live broadcast shows a draft lottery organized in order to determine individuals to fight the Vietnam War. The lottery worked like this. Each day of the year was printed on a piece of paper and the pieces of paper were placed in a large glass jar. The birth dates were then drawn at random, assigning them a number depending on the drawing order. After the lottery, draftees were called for duty in order of their draft number, beginning with the number 1 and proceeding with the order, until the military's manpower needs were met.
These are scary games you should never play, Part 10. This is Satur Kun, and this game allows you to summon a Japanese ghost or demon, who appears in the form of a young boy. He will then answer any question you have. To summon Satur Kun, you need a mobile phone, some coins, and a coin-operating payphone. To start the game, you put the coins in the payphone, and call your mobile phone number. Then repeat the following chant. Satur Kun, please show yourself. Please let me know if you are here. After that, hang up the public payphone and turn off your mobile phone. If you did everything correct, you will receive a call from Satur Kun in 24 hours. When he calls you, he will tell you where he is and then hang up. Then he will keep calling you, and every time he will be closer. And the last time he calls you, he will say, "I am right behind you." Now you can ask him any question, but do not turn around. If you do, you will die.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1, don't lose your head. Now I have 2 million followers, so odds are one of you are gonna get your head cut off. But did you know it's possible for a human to stay conscious with their head cut off for up to 20 seconds? Number 2, your cell phone. Now, public toilets are infamous for being disgusting bacteria-filled places. But did you know that your cell phone actually carries 10 times the bacteria of a public toilet? And to add insult to injury, it's been estimated that your kitchen sink could actually carry 20 times the bacteria of a public toilet. So yeah, just think about that. And finally, the horned lizard. This is a horned lizard. I mean, it's kind of cute in its own way, right? Well, horned lizards have the most disturbing defense mechanism I have ever seen in my life. When a horned lizard feels threatened, they will squirt blood out of their eyes towards their enemies. And that fact to me has cemented the horned lizard as the hardest animal in the animal kingdom. Hearing those was kind of scary, but pretty cool at the same time, but that's why